Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. I'm your angsty dad, Earl. Today we're going to be talking with my little brother, Myles Maxwell, a.k.a. Animal Hotel. We're going to be talking about the police yelling at people. We're going to be making some music. I'm going to talk to you about why words matter, and my favorite, the fanboys. We out the wild.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. I'm your angsty dad, Earl, reporting live from the wild. How are you doing? Well, I hope. Got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you guys about today. I have my brother on, Animal Hotel, also known as Myles Maxwell. He's going to have a guitar in his hands and a microphone in front of him. We're going to play some music and sing some songs, and it should be pretty dope. So definitely stick around for that. A couple of housekeeping notes. You may have noticed last week there was a little black and white video on my Instagram feed, which you should follow. That's Out of the Wild 704 on Instagram, at the Angsty Dad on Twitter, Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast on Facebook, or you can hit me up at Gmail, out of the Wild 704 at gmail.com. All of those are good ways to get a hold of me if you have any questions, comments, queries, ideas. If you want to send some songs my way or artists we should check out to potentially put on the show, that would be terrific. So if you are on my Instagram page, you might have seen that video. It's what I call a wild hair. It's a little segment I'm kind of proud of. I'm going to just drop it every couple of days or so, maybe even less than that. Just whenever something breaking happens, something I think that you should be informed about. It's a little black and white video. So if you get on there, check it out. I want to talk to you about what I talked about in that video in just a moment. The second piece of housekeeping, something I'm very excited about. Jessica and I are going down on August 18th to the Pride Parade here in the Queen City, Crown Town. And we're going to record our experience, and we're going to make a little episode of the podcast based around it. It will be called #Proud. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be quite an experience. We've never gone before. It's going to be about the journey LGBTQ plus has taken from being demonized to being a part of the mainstream, how far we've come and how far we have to go. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. I think that's it for the housekeeping notes. Yeah, that's it. So back to that wild hair. Like I said, it's a little video I want to drop every once in a while just to kind of, tell you guys something that I heard that I thought was interesting, that I thought you should know, I thought was important perhaps. In this case, it was that the president had tweeted at Jeff Sessions that Jeff Sessions should end the Robert Mueller investigation, the witch hunt, and fire Mueller, or intervene. I thought that was alarming. That's some next level shit. That's some Watergate, like, tell him, you're firing the special investigator into you. That's crooked. That's criminal. And Jeff Sessions has recused himself. And I was like, wow, that's crazy that they did that. Later on that day, though, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was marched out there to say the president was just venting. He was just venting. The president he's stressed out. He was just venting. The president doesn't get to vent like that. He's the president. Doesn't get to vent like that. That's dangerous territory. It got me thinking about a lot of things. Got me thinking about how much words matter. I never read the book 1984 until I went to Ireland, which was just last year. So that's like most of my life. Most people read it a lot of people who read it usually read it in high school, from what I understand. I understand it's back on the rise as well, but I read it last year. And I didn't really didn't really grasp it when I read it too. I had a lot going on at the time. Like, I only read it once pretty quickly. So I went back and revisited it again. And one of the things that strikes me when compared to now is how in that book they made it a point to eliminate language. Free thought, the whole 9 yards. They go to extreme lengths. But one of the things that they did, if I'm not mistaken, they said they did it early on, or it was the final phase of it, but they started it early on, was eliminating language. They tried to simplify the language, change the definitions, freedom is slavery, all those different things. That was the amplified version of not too amplified, but that was the idea of how you take free people and subjugate them and turn them over to authoritarian rule, and you have to take away all the freedoms. Essentially, was what they argued in 1984. That was the argument, essentially. It's a horrifying implication, but you're seeing, those are the threads of fascism. And I'm not going to go to the extent to say that this man is necessarily a fascist yet. But I will say that there are definitely bare threads of fascism that string throughout the administration in their actions, and words matter. No dictator is ever successful without masterfully manipulating language, and Donald Trump has figured out a way to do that. And instead of soaring oratory masterpieces of rhetoric, he gives very simple languages and appeals to the lowest common denominator in a lot of things. Your lowest common, not necessarily the people's lowest common denominator, but the lowest common denominator in those people. And some of them are the lowest common denominator. Of that, there is no doubt. But that's what dictators do. So they change the meaning of things. The president now, when he says things like you need to fire Jeff Sessions, or Jeff Sessions needs to fire Robert Mueller, he's just venting. That's not what venting is. That's one example. Another example of words mattering. When the president of the United States at a rally the day before, I think that tweet came out, maybe even the same day, he stands in front of these people and says, even at the groceries, you have to use voter ID. You have to use ID. You have to use ID. The president of the United States says that you have to use ID to buy groceries. Everyone's losing their fucking mind. No, we don't. Respected news, at least news sources that I respect, had headlines throughout the course of the week. The president thinks that you need to use ID to buy groceries. No, you don't. We know you don't. The president of the United States might be the only fucking person in the whole country who believes that. Except now the people who probably heard that in Trump world and believe it too, even though their empirical evidence tells them otherwise, and there are people out there like that. So Donald Trump says that you need to use ID to buy groceries, and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, he's so stupid. We missed the point of what he was talking about, though. I did not see in one headline what he was talking about, or any of the conversation. He's talking about voter ID laws. He's talking about how he supports voter ID laws. Voter ID laws, that's showing ID at the polling place in order to be able to vote, or sending in a copy of your ID in order to be registered to vote, or whatever the state has you do. They sound pretty innocent, right, on paper. But voter ID laws are part of a bigger plan to suppress the minority vote in places all around the country. Part of gerrymandering, you have voter ID laws, you have voter roll purges. You have all these things and more, changing of dates, the shortening of early voting times, the changing of times, poll closing times. All these efforts, what they said in court, to target minorities and people of color with quote-unquote surgical precision. Voter ID laws are part of that. The President of the United States was advocating his support for voter ID laws. We got focused on the fact that he said you need ID to buy groceries, which we all know is absurd unless you're buying beer or alcohol or tobacco, or I guess some places still sell firearms in the supermarket, or I guess propane. I don't even think you need it for propane. That's insane. Another thing, Acosta accosted. I've been thinking about that one all week. Acosta accosted. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys think about that. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. Jim Acosta, CNN. With his words alone, continuous words alone, the President of the United States was able to manipulate the crowd, whip them up into a frenzy to the point where they were just venomous, spitting venom at Jim Acosta from CNN. Never seen anything like that. They don't talk to the press, is what he was reporting on. They hardly ever talk to the press. Another fascist trait. Leaking press, I believe that's how it says. The German word they shouted at him. Lying press. I might have mispronounced that, but you get the idea. It's an old Nazi word. That's what people in the crowd were shouting at him. Leaking press. And they said it can't happen here. Not to be alarmist, I'm just stating facts, making observations. Words matter, people. One of the things I hate is when people use the word literally out of context. I literally hate that. You can't literally hate something. There's no objective way to measure hate. There's no empirical way to measure hate. Literally applies to something actually happening. They say the gays are literally steamrolling their agenda through Washington, down Pennsylvania Avenue. Can you imagine that? Bunch of gay people and some steamrollers down Pennsylvania Avenue, just flattening everything in their path. Big old happy gay parade behind them. I'm there for it. I'm going to that parade, cheering them all on. Words matter. Language matters. Don't let them take that away from us. Okay? Don't let them transform the meaning. Don't let them transfer cruelty into kindness and freedom into slavery. Don't let them transfer meaning. Words matter. In the meantime, while they're distracting us with all this crap, Donald Trump is putting conservative judges in places that are in control of your health care benefits, which you may receive, lowering the bar for lawyers and judges all over the country. Look it up. That's happening. They distract us. The okie doke, folks. Everything I'm saying is true. You can look it up. They'll have you believe otherwise, but you can look it up. Words matter. Breitbart News, I started following them on Instagram just to get an idea, and I will not be tagging them in this post because I don't want their followers. I mean, whoever can follow, but anyway, they lie blatantly. InfoWars lies blatantly. Words matter. It manipulates people. You should use your words for truth and kindness, but not everyone's going to do that. So it's our responsibility to make sure that people are being held accountable for their words. Words matter. We can't let ourselves become numb to the ridiculous things that are said on a regular basis. When Donald Trump tweeted out to Jeff Sessions that he needs to end this Robert Mueller investigation, people just kind of, oh my God, that's so serious, and then we forgot about it. It just happened last week. If he had sent that in a confidential memo, it'd be a whole different story. But he tweeted it out, so it's easy to ignore. How is that not obstruction of justice? I'm no lawyer, but that seems pretty obvious. If you even understand the words obstruction and the words justice, and you had any context of what was going on in this situation, I'm pretty sure you'd reach a similar conclusion. If you were someone who knew, nothing about anything else. Words matter, people. If they win, they don't have to win the war with violence if they win the war with words. Because you can't kill ideas. We're seeing that now. These ideas sprout up. You can't kill them. If you add words to them, like fertilizer, they will grow and grow and grow. And then words can turn to violence. And if we lose the war in words, if we lose the battle for words, we lose the war for the future. Think about that. And perhaps to a similar point about words mattering, I am a huge... If you listened to the podcast 2 weeks ago, our very first episode, you would have heard the interview with myself and my very good friend Joey Navarra of the Pursued by a Bear series, Chapter 2, coming soon. I'm very excited about that. Chapter 1 was fantastic. We talked about comics, we talked about some Star Wars, we talked about our basic, we're kind of geeks. I was really excited about the trailer for Titans. We talked about all that. Comic-Con was wrapping up, or at least going on while we were there. And we talked about fanboys. We talked about and probably some girls, but mostly, I'm sure, men. And we talked about the amount of hatred that Kelly Marie Tran received. She played Rose in Star Wars The Last Jedi. And how it was terrible. And it was, and it is. And now, the Titan trailer came out. I loved it. I called Joey and I called Myles as soon as it came out to tell them to watch it. They didn't like it nearly as much as I did, but they were excited. But a lot of people didn't like it, and that's fine. A lot of people didn't dig the fuck Batman thing and Robin killing people. Hey, whatever. You don't have to. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. It's not everyone's bag. But I'm excited about it, and other people are excited about it too. But some people took their hatred to a whole nother level when they started criticizing the actress Anna Diop, who plays Starfire in the movie. They started criticizing her because of her color of her skin, which is funny because Starfire in the comic books and in all the cartoon movies and shows is orange. She's an alien princess. Her father is some war king, and she's an alien princess who's, in the comics at least, or at least in some stories, she's running from him or something like that. But she's orange. Anna Diop is black. Or Diop, I hope I'm saying that right. People have lost their fucking minds. They have a problem that they're blackwashing an orange woman who is an alien. Some of these people would rather see an orange person on screen than a black person. They have such a problem with their skin color. It's that big of a deal to their fandom and their toxic fragile masculinity. Well, boys, and you are just that, sack the fuck up. All right? Just because you have a problem with a creative decision doesn't give you the right to be a fucking racist. And if you go after someone's race or their gender, you're a racist or a sexist. If you go after their sexuality, you're a fucking homophobe. And you don't have that right. These fuckboy fanboys need to stop. All right? These franchises aren't made just for you. In fact, they don't have you in mind. DC and Disney don't give a fuck about you, Joe Nobody. Suck a dick. All right? I'm sure you have a mother, and I hope she would have taught you to treat others with respect. But in case she didn't, allow me. Fuck you. These people owe you nothing. These are real people playing fictional characters who you develop some relationship with in your own head. You have no right to treat them that way. And yeah, they're celebrities. They don't know who I am either, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is racist, punk-ass, fuckboy fanboys. You're toxic, and the shit needs to stop. And people need to stand up to it. This is absolutely, and I know that people are. I'm not saying that people aren't, but it's absolutely disgusting. How can this go on? How can Star Wars fans be so consistently just be assholes for so long? Like, stop. Why are y'all such assholes? Y'all never happy. Stop being miserable. The movies look cool, at least. Just find something. Like, they don't owe you anything. Get over yourself. You got something to say about that? If anyone out there has something to say about me saying what I just said, please, I insist that you hit me up on the social media platforms that I listed out earlier. Because I am unapologetic in that. You have no right to treat people that way. These are real people who accepted roles in their field, who are playing fictional characters. Fictional characters. And they owe you nothing. So again, for these toxic fuckboy punk-ass fanboys, get over yourself. Get over yourself. This narcissism has to end. You are only the center of your mommy and daddy's world. No one else. That felt better. Well, on that note, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to hit you with a tune real quick. And on the other side of said break, we're going to have my little brother, singer-songwriter from right here in the 704 Charlotte, North Carolina, Animal Hotel. And I'm very excited about that. I hope you are too. We out the wild.
We can make a living for a while on our jobs and favors. They can't really blame us. The student time's never been my style, but it's the price I pay to be back in the game. And this ain't the kind of place to raise a child. And now suddenly the outsiders start to care. You can catch a bullet on the spot, no matter where you go. The schools are closed and the kids are choosing each over the pot. And when they dream the dream of selling dope, and to spend a conversation gets me hot. Cause I've had too many friends go down this road. And all I know is that if we're staying here, it won't be for very long.
Broken down by the ambivalence of ages, hated on by the very system that made us. Try to subvert, get hurt, expect gratitude. So forgive us if you feel we're acting kinda rude. I'm just saying this in response to your attitude. Despite the worst intentions, we're still reaching different altitudes. Let's try to keep it factual and only speaking actual. You're proud to your position, so I guess I can't be mad at you. But when the day come, when God do what he do, I pray you have it in your spirit, in your heart to speak the truth. But let's face it and be honest, that ain't really you. Gentrify with the gentle lies and grow up apartments with south-centered views of the skyline. Look, gentrify the property, increase the value with dog parks and novelties. Gentrify the modern colony. Look, gentrify can't rectify the rape and lies and specify the reason hates reside in their eyes. You take pride in your pride, you can't put it aside, which is exactly the reason there is always a fight. You can't always be right, we must reach for the light. How many buildings have to fall until we realize the blight? They say there's always a plight, well they just might be right. The brightest days can only come after the darkest of nights. Hello and welcome back to Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. I'm your angsty dad, Earl. I have with me my little brother, Myles Maxwell, also known as Animal Hotel, a singer-songwriter extraordinaire right here from the 704, the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Myles, could you say hello to the fine folks?
Hello, fine folks.
How are you this evening?
Apparently I'm an extraordinaire, so I'm doing extraordinary.
Singer-songwriter extraordinaire. You compete with the finest. How was your trip down here from the CLT?
It was wonderful. There was a lot of traffic, so I had a lot of time to think and reflect on my life and life choices.
The whole life?
Yep, my whole life.
45-minute drive.
It's an hour.
Oh, well, still, that's a lot of life to get through.
I think quickly.
So, you're singer-songwriter. How long have you been writing songs?
I've been writing songs as long as I can remember. Songs that I've kept, though, I've been writing since I was about 15. So for the past 12 years or so. Okay,
that's awesome. What usually would you say goes into your songs? What inspires most of your songs? And a sub question: how has that inspiration changed as the times have changed in the last few years, in that time since you started writing?
So I'd say usually it just goes by whatever I'm feeling. When I was a teenager / early 20s, I was a very emotional person.
You were?
Yeah. Go figure. And so a lot of those songs were about those things, especially about heartache and heartbreak and things like that. That was because at that time, that was the most important thing that had ever happened to me. And now lately I've grown out of that, where those aren't the things that really matter to me anymore, simply because I haven't really been in a relationship for a while. So
what matters to you now?
So I recently have been diagnosed with depression, and it's important for me to be able to write songs and play music that other people that go through the same thing can kind of relate to. And more so than anything else, at the end of the day, like, I'm expressing myself in ways that I couldn't do in any other way, because if I try to speak, a lot of times I get too frustrated or anything like that. And if you don't like it, my kind of attitude to it at this point in my life is kind of fuck you. Yeah. So, rock and roll, baby.
Well, I can definitely relate to that, especially again the flustered and frustrated part when speaking. So Myles is sitting here, Animal Hotel is sitting here with a guitar in hand. He's prepared to rock out. Why don't you play a song or two for us, Myles?
I will play.
What's the first one? Tell us about it.
This is a song that I wrote towards the end of a very tumultuous time in my life, called An Engagement. And this one has no title, so let's just call it the one that mentions the cats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something better than you are presently, but I promise you are doing fine. When every day you're still a nightmare to your ex and all of her cats, but you still go to work, so we'll always tell you you're still doing alright. Awful as it seems. And if you had a penny for every single dollar that you made somebody, do you think you could afford some self-esteem? And though I can't say that I blame you for being the piece of shit you are, 'cause I guess that's what has taken you this far. Smile, and may your life be full of happiness, if not altogether confident I'll be seeing you again after a little while. Until then, let's raise a glass for all our family and friends past, 'cause we might have the good
after all, I'm running in circles. I'm still living in my head, and I'm just holding out for someplace that's much warmer than her bed. And I'm breathing out if this is life, then I'd say I'd rather be dead. And I'm still growing up, I'm growing up, they said. Motherfucker growing up. Motherfucker growing up. MOTHERFUCK growing up. I'm never growing up. I'm never growing up. I'm never growing up.
So you got a lot of tattoos.
Yes.
What's your most recent tattoo?
This one on my wrist right here is the Ace of Hearts, which stands for one love, because the numeric value of an ace is one, and then the heart is love.
That makes sense.
I also have because just that's kind of my thing. Just love everybody, love everything, no matter what's going on. Just
That's hard.
Try to show as much love as you possibly can. It is hard, but it also takes much more. I'm a really lazy person when it comes down to it. A lot of times at the end of the day, it takes much less energy for me to just try to be happy about things and to calm myself down after being pissed off about things.
Right.
I can find the humor in things that are terrible, like the entire presidency, or the other day at freaking Target when everybody was greeted except for me in the section.
Right.
It's just like, there's one thing that's different for all of us.
Yeah.
I'm sure anybody could figure that
That shit
out.
doesn't exist.
When freaking one of my dearest friends in the world was harassed by a police officer last weekend.
Yeah.
God, actually, the day after that, the Target experience, that was freaking shit.
I was saying to someone the other day, having an argument. This young lady who was harassed is Caucasian. It doesn't matter. That police kind of harassment, that police brutality, it happens to all people. Like, it's across the board. So we have a militarized police state, and that's a result of it.
And you're not even a real cop. You're a freaking light row cop.
Well, okay, so you have to give them some context because we first said cops.
Okay,
so
so
here's another little story, and then we're gonna have another song after this story.
Okay, cool. So so me and my good friend, we were hanging out by the pool one day, and I was like, "Oh, you want to grab some beer?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go grab some beer." Went back to her apartment, and she started putting on makeup. I was unaware that she was putting on makeup because I just thought we were going to grab some beer and sit by the pool.
Right.
So we was like, all right, well, it's too late now. Let's go get some fucking drinks. So we went to a restaurant in Charlotte, which is right next to the light rail. And we got kind of drunk. And it was probably escalated things a little bit more than it should have been. So and then afterwards she was like, hey, let's ride some like those Lime scooters.
So Lime scooters in this city, there's a bunch of, I guess it's a private company that just one day like did a Fortnite like loot drop in the city of scooters.
They were throwing them on the back of their truck.
Scooters all over the city that anyone with a phone apparently can use.
Yep. Except for her, apparently.
Okay, so go
well,
on.
I also don't know if you noticed this, but like, remember there were the bikes before, and you don't really see the bikes anymore.
Well, you're in the city more than I saw them last time I was in the city, but you see them more than I do.
Yeah. So we decided that we wanted to go ride some bikes, and where the restaurant is set up is on one side of the light rail, and there were two scooters. Neither one of them were working for some reason. I guess the battery was dead or something like that. So then we decided to cross over the train tracks to get to another one. Now, we didn't necessarily cross entirely legally. We crossed at where there was no intersection for probably, I don't know. It was a long enough distance where two drunk people are not going to want to walk down that way.
Right.
So we cross over, and there are three people that are walking in front of us, too. I'm walking next to her. There are three people walking in front of us. And we get to the other side, and we get to the scooters, and we try to start working them. Mine works. Hers just keeps giving her a hard time. And we see two police officers walk up, and they're, like, trying to get her attention. And one of them's like, yeah, that's her.
What?
From the other direction where
The infamous scooter thief.
Well, that's what I thought it was, because the thing kept going up. Because if you try to use it without, quote-unquote, paying for it, even though it was charging her, if you try to use it, it, like, shouts out. It's like, please stop, I will call the police, or I will notify the police, or something like that. And it's very loud.
Right.
So that's what I assumed that it was. And, like, she could show them that wasn't necessarily the case. So I'm in front of her, the police are coming up behind her, and then two police come from behind me, and they're all standing around her. And she's trying to get the thing to stop and turn it off so it's not charging her anymore.
So there's 3 cops now standing around. Four cops standing around one young lady.
One young lady. She's trying to turn the thing off so it's not charging her, and she's trying to safely like put the thing down while the police officer's like, excuse me. She's like, yeah, one second, just let me finish this, let me do this.
When a cop gets your attention, you stop what you're doing right then and there.
This lady police officer just comes out of nowhere, just guns blazing, just fucking pissed.
Not
literally guns blazing. We feel like I need to make that distinction.
Thank God.
She was just like, when a police officer says something to you, you need to listen to them, and just flying the fuck off the handle. And I'm standing there. At this point, they don't know that we're together. They probably just assume that I'm some type of witness, because like there's no opening towards me. They're all just literally just 4 people standing around this one girl. Eventually it gets to the point where the psycho cop decides to like walk away because I guess she was having an aneurysm or something, and and I was standing over there, and like, you know, there were 2 police officers that were cool. They were just trying to do their job. There was the other one that was flipping out, and then there was another cop which you can tell that he was just hiding behind his badge. He was probably, I'm not going to speculate on what his life is like, but I can guarantee it wasn't as good as mine. I mean, and so he started like yelling too, but he wasn't in a threatening way or whatever. And then we were both drinking, so the situation starts getting a little bit heated. And she makes a comment about just, so why are there 4 cops? Are you guys like? Why are there 4 cops around me? And the police officer says, "Oh, why are we intimidating you?" And she says, "Yes." Yeah. Yes.
Just a little bit.
There are 4 cops around me intimidating, and that's when I chime in that there's a woman that just came out of nowhere screaming at you while there are 4 cops around you. Yes, that's intimidating. Long story short, after all that happens, the female cop comes back and starts talking shit to my friend. I keep almost saying her name. And just being super unprofessional. Right. Incredibly unprofessional. I have never seen this level of unprofessional, and like, this is coming from me. If anybody has ever listened to his work with me, I'm like the least professional person in the world.
This is some different shit, though.
Yeah, this is on a whole other level. And once I say something as a witness, the woman walks away, which is, I find interesting. But she, instead of getting a ticket for trespassing, which is technically what we did, she gets a ticket for disturbing the peace. With no explanation as to why. And all this time, mind you, the police officer didn't see the 3 people that were walking directly in front of us, or me who was walking directly next to her.
Right.
So, disturbing the peace. She has a lot more street cred now. So
disturbing the peace. That's a THA. Some Southern rock. Why don't you play a cover for us?
A cover.
Yeah, play us a cover.
Jesus.
Something good. Introduce it though.
Oh my god, I can't even think of any covers right now. Oh, I got this one. No, I'm not gonna play that. Here's a little Avett Brothers for you.
I'm always down for Avett Brothers. They probably won't sue us.
Well.
that I can always find a constant and a comfort in your love. With your heart my soul is bound, and as we dance I surely know that some kind of heaven will be found. And you send my life whirling, darling, when you're twirling on the floor. And who cares about tomorrow? What more is tomorrow than another day? When you swept me away, yeah, you swept me away, yeah, you swept me
Thank you for listening to Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. That was part 1 of our interview with Animal Hotel, my little brother Myles Maxwell. Come back next week for part 2 of the same interview. We're talking about some things and playing some songs. It's going to be fun. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and review and comment and let us know how we're doing. Hopefully we're doing well, but you got to let me know. We out the wild.